And I was the one staying up to 2 o'clock in the morning studying and still struggling. I'm a horrible test taker. Horrible test taker. I can know all the answers, but put that test in front of me and I bomb it, or I struggle. And I've never given up. A lot of you know part of my story, my health challenges, bad relationships, things that could have knocked somebody down completely hardcore. But the thing is I believe that everything in life happens for a reason. And I also believe people are placed in our life for a reason. And I remember when I went through something major in my life, good relationship, gone bad. And I remember coming out feeling the weakest I've ever felt in my life. Like I was no good. I wasn't good enough. My insecurities got deeper, stronger, and I felt like I was not worthy of anything. But through that, I've met so many people in my life that helped me through all of that, helped me build my confidence, helped me. You just have to surround yourself with people that want better for you, just like they do for themselves. And if you do that, like you're on top of the world when you have people that you surround yourself with that make you better. Like they don't bring the bad out of you, they bring the good out of you. And from that point on, I fought like hell. I worked my tail off. I busted my butt. I was never a big dreamer sort of thing because my insecurities brought me down. But I remember when I was single for a long time, and my goal was to buy a house. I was tired of paying someone else's mortgage because, that's what you do when you rent. And I wanted to buy a house. And I wanted to buy a house that I could resell one day and make a profit off of. And so I worked and worked and worked and worked. I lost a lot of friends because a lot of my friends were still young. We were still young. And I was 25 years old when I built my first house. My family doesn't come from money. We always worked hard for what we had. And I did. I bought my first house at 25 years old. And that was the biggest accomplishment I felt I've ever done because I did it by myself. I did it by working my tail off for it. And I had that to show for it, and then I met Chris. My health challenges happened. I was diagnosed with some health challenges, and then I met Chris. I met Chris because of those health challenges. My friend sent me a friend suggestion for him. It was actually his cousin's wife, and I deleted it. I was like, I'm not interested. I don't want to meet a guy. Bye-bye. So I deleted her friend's suggestion for him. I was diagnosed 2 months later, and I went through one of the, I would say, darkest times of my life because things just got scarier, worse. I thought my life was crumbling underneath me and I didn't know which way to turn. And I got a friend request from Chris. I was in a really, really, really bad place. And I got a friend request from Chris on Facebook. And I was like, oh, what the heck? I'm never going to meet him. Except, well, one thing led to another. And 8 years later, we have 2 kids. We live in Colorado. And he's the best thing that has ever happened to me. And because of my health challenges, because I got so sick, I let him in. And he only knew me at that time. He knew me at my worst. And he accepted me. And, through your vows, like through sickness and everything, he's been there. He was the one that let me lay on him and fall asleep for 3.5 hours on his lap while he had to pee. He is the best thing that has ever happened to me. So with that being said, know that no matter what, I can go on forever with this story, but I want to cut it short so I don't bore you guys. Know that no matter how hard life gets, no matter how low you feel, know that deep down, in your heart, that there's a purpose, there's a reason for everything.
It began with a silent In the quiet hours before dawn, while the world slept unaware, a man lay down in his bed just miles from where his family no longer breathed. The sheets were smooth, the house was silent, and beneath the same Colorado sky where shallow graves waited in darkness, Chris Watts closed his eyes and slept. Hours earlier, the earth had been disturbed. Oil tanks stood like silent witnesses, and beneath them, hidden in plain sight, were the bodies of the people who trusted him most. His wife, his children, buried not by strangers, but by the hands that once promised to protect them. This is the part of the story that still turns stomachs. Not just what he did, but what he did next. Chris Watts returned home after committing one of the most horrifying family murders in modern history and behaved as if nothing had happened. He showered. He ate. He texted coworkers. He climbed into bed and slept peacefully, while his family lay discarded in a place designed to erase them. It wasn't panic that followed him home that night. It wasn't fear. It was routine. The next morning, he would stand in his driveway and plead for their return on television. He would ask the public for help. He would smile nervously and sway under police questions.
Something.
What happened? Your wife came home. Tell me what's.
She came home from the airport 2 a.m. and I left around 5:15. She was still here, and like about 12:10 in that afternoon, her friend Nicole showed up at the door. Like I had texted Shanann a few times that day, called her, but she never got back to me. But she wasn't getting back to any of her people as well, and that's what really concerned a lot of people. Is like, if she's not getting back to her, like if she doesn't get back to me, that's fine. Like she gets busy during the day, but she didn't get back to her people, which was very concerning. And Nicole called me when she was at the door, and that's when I came home, and then walked in the house, and nothing was vanished. Nothing was here. I mean, she wasn't here. The kids weren't here. Nope, nobody was here.
What's your wife's name?
Shanann, Shanann.
What's your kids' name?
Bella and Celeste.
How do you spell Celeste?
Celeste.
How old are your daughters?
4, Bella's 4, Celeste is 3.
And so, how many times did you try calling her?
I called her 3 times, texted her about 3 times just to say, what's going on. Like cause after I called her and texted her once, it's like, maybe she was just busy. Like she had just gotten back, like everybody's probably calling her from her trip. She just got back from Arizona, and I figured she was just busy. But when her friend showed up, that's what it was like. It registered like, all right, this isn't right.
Do you think she just took off? Do you think?
I mean, right now I don't even want to just like throw anything out there. Like, I hope that she's somewhere safe right
now. But the truth had already been sealed into the ground, along with the people who once called him husband and father. This story is not only about murder. It's about the chilling psychology of a man who could commit the unthinkable, then sleep beside its consequences. A man who, for a brief moment, believed the earth would keep his secrets. Before the headlines, before the body cam footage, before the confession, there was a life that looked ordinary from the outside. A marriage documented on social media. 2 little girls whose laughter echoed through suburban hallways. A 3rd child on the way. And behind closed doors, something darker was forming. Quietly, patiently, and without mercy. This is the story of Chris Watts, the killer who slept next to his victim's grave. If you're drawn to stories that uncover the darkness hiding beneath familiar faces, support this channel by liking this video, subscribing to Shadow of Deceit, and turning on notifications, so you never miss what the shadows try to conceal. The house on Saratoga Trail once looked like the picture of a life well lived. Fresh paint, family photos lining the walls, children's toys scattered across clean carpets. On the surface, it was the kind of home people scrolled past online and admired without question. Shanann Watts was the architect of that image. She was vibrant, outspoken, driven. Someone who believed deeply in building a future through sheer willpower and love. Friends described her as fiercely loyal, relentlessly optimistic, and deeply devoted to her children. Her life unfolded online in carefully framed moments. Birthday parties, smiling selfies, motivational captions about marriage and motherhood. To the outside world, she was building a legacy of joy. But behind the curated images lived a woman under constant pressure. Shannon struggled with health issues, including lupus, which drained her energy and required frequent medical attention. Still, she pushed forward. She sold products. She traveled for work. She believed in hustle, in sacrifice, in the idea that love could overcome stress and exhaustion if you worked hard enough at it. Her daughters were her world. Bella was thoughtful, sensitive, cautious beyond her years. Cece was fearless, bursting with energy, her laughter often filling. They were inseparable, two small lives orbiting their mother with complete trust. And when Shannon became pregnant with her third child, a son she planned to name Nico, she believed the family was entering a new chapter. Chris Watts, by contrast, was quiet, almost invisible. He was the type of man people described as easygoing, nice, harmless. He didn't dominate conversations. He didn't raise his voice. He blended into the background so well that few ever noticed how little of himself he revealed. He worked long hours in the oil fields. He came home. He followed routines. He rarely challenged anything openly. To many, he seemed like the perfect counterbalance to Shannon's intensity. But silence can hide more than anger ever could. Chris internalized everything: frustration, resentment, fantasies. Instead of confronting problems, he absorbed them. Instead of arguing, he withdrew. And over time, that quiet withdrawal hardened into something colder, something dangerous. Their marriage began to fracture not with explosive fights, but with emotional distance. Financial stress mounted. Shannon shouldered debt while chasing stability. Chris retreated further inward. Intimacy faded. Conversations became transactional. The house remained full, but the marriage hollowed out slowly, like rot beneath polished wood. And then someone else entered the picture. Nicole Kessinger wasn't part of the family narrative. She existed outside it, unburdened by diapers, debt, or domestic routine. To Chris, she represented freedom, control, a version of himself that wasn't defined by responsibility. With her, he felt seen in a way he hadn't allowed himself to feel before. But rather than confront his reality, Chris began constructing a fantasy, one where the obstacles weren't solved, but erased. Shannon sensed something was wrong. Text messages to friends revealed growing anxiety, fear that her marriage was slipping away, desperation to reconnect. She planned trips. She tried affection. She asked questions that went unanswered. And each unanswered question widened the gap between who she believed her husband was and who he was becoming. By the time Shannon boarded her final flight home, exhausted and pregnant, she believed she was returning to fix her family. She had no idea she was walking back into a house already emptied of mercy. Because while she was fighting for her marriage, Chris Watts had already decided it was over. And in his mind, the only way forward was through annihilation. The ground behind the oil tanks was never meant to be a resting place. It was industrial land, stripped of warmth and meaning, a place designed for machinery and silence. Yet beneath that silence, Chris Watts buried what remained of the life he had erased. He returned home after the murders and lay down in the same bed where his family had once slept, knowing exactly where they were. Knowing the distance between his pillow and their graves could be measured in miles and in minutes. He slept. That detail alone still chills investigators, psychologists, and anyone who has studied this case. Because it wasn't just what Chris Watts did, it was what he was capable of living with afterward. When the investigation closed in, when the evidence stacked higher than his lies, when the truth finally dragged him into confession, there was no cinematic breakdown, no dramatic remorse, just a hollow admission. It was too late to save anyone who mattered.
My water jugs, my book bag, my computers, some of the tools that I had in the toolbox. I knew I was going to have to do some pumping into rubbers today. That's why I was out so far.
Is this on continually
Yep.
recording?
Yep. Well,
It's not, is it
any
motion or is it?
event-
Okay, so it's motion.
Any motion event that happens, I get cars driving from this street, and this is him at 517.
We usually park out there on the side. I just want to get everything done. Be easier to lug everything out there, all the tools that I had to bring in. What else can I do with this?
My detective just showed up. So he'll probably want to talk to you. He'd probably, like I said, he might have you call at the bank and see if there's any kind of activity.
Because if there was any sort of action out
On
there,
his camera, it's
I
like,
would have got it.
like
Right.
we had issues the other week when people were stealing stuff out of like garages and stuff like that. And I had parked my truck
I had
right here.
to park right here.
Yeah. Because someone,
See if
I could
anything
see where someone
happened.
tried to jimmy with a flathead screwdriver over there, and it was just like,
But if any action would have happened, any cars or anything left your house, I would
if
have
it would
got
have been like right in that area, it should have.
it. Oh, it'll pick up anything coming down the street this way.
You know where that tree there is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Watch, I'll show you. There's nothing on here. We've already watched that one. But like, you'll see this car.
That's a pretty good thing you have.
That changes it. Oh, you can see.
That one.
Oh, look.
See what I'm saying? It picks up all the way down there.
He's next door.
Can we go?
Talking about dispatcher. Yeah, be close for.
But yeah, we can pick up cars coming this way. I get anything coming this way and making a turn. So, and usually at night I pick up the cars pulling the ear turn. So, unless they pulled right here,
Yeah.
but I would have caught her walking out. Diesel.
You're good.
But yeah, I thought nothing.
Nothing for the rest of the day.
No, that's it.
She's pregnant as well.
How far along?
14, 15 weeks. That's why her friend said it was low blood sugar.
And see, I've got her friend leaving out here at 2 in the morning, I think. My camera. Did you go check if anything was missing around your house?
There wasn't nothing, but there was all the old blankies. That was about it. And then her wedding ring was on my thing. Her phone was still there.
She dropped her off at 1 in the morning, right?
She's done my doorbell said 1:48. She came in.
Okay. It's not on this one, it'll be on this one.
Night fell over the remote oil field where the bodies of Sean and Bella and Celeste had been hidden. The machine in court, justice arrived swiftly. A life sentence, no parole. A legal ending that brought finality but not peace. Because answers do not undo absence. And prison walls cannot restore what was stolen in a single night. Sean and Watts was more than a victim. She was a daughter, a friend, a mother who loved loudly and lived visibly. Bella and Celeste were more than names attached to headlines. They were children who trusted completely, who believed the world was safe because the person meant to protect them was nearby. Their legacy is not the way they died, but the reminder they leave behind. That evil does not always announce itself with violence. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it sleeps beside you. The Watts case continues to haunt because it forces an uncomfortable question into the light. How well can we ever truly know the people we love? And how many warning signs do we miss when we mistake silence for safety? If stories like this matter to you, if remembering victims, examining the truth, and refusing to let these lives fade into statistics is important, then support this channel. Like this video to help it reach more people. Share it to keep their story alive. Subscribe to Shadow of Deceit for more deep cinematic true crime. And turn on notifications so you never miss what comes next. Because in the shadows of deception, the truth is the only thing that still speaks. And now, we leave you with one final question to carry with you long after this video ends. How many monsters are hiding in plain sight, simply waiting to be believed as ordinary?